super quick. I should preface that with the whole inclusive cast and stuff, how they're doing that nowadays with the films. It's really important to bring up. Much of it, I feel, has to do with because the criteria of now to be able to get nominated for Oscars in the Oscar Awards, you have to have, at least with the main character, like a person, you know, like a black or Asian or Indian, just like ethnic diverse, or someone other than white. Otherwise, you will not qualify for a nomination. That is literally the rule. They have changed that now. So things like like Silence of the Lambs or the Gladiator, Ben Hur, things like that wouldn't have been considered for nomination under these new rules. So uh, my personal thought on that is how I feel they can combat this. I don't know if it will work, but they can try it. All directors, like starting with that Christopher Nolan, he should have just made it the way that we know and love with on purpose, the way it would traditionally be made. Look at Troy, look at the Armand Asante, whatever, the Odyssey, and the other kind of Jason and the Argonauts, from back in the day. Make it like that, the way that it's historic. I'm trying to be careful with the words. I don't want to say like the right way, but just the historic, not historic, but just the accurate way from written literature and the way we know and love. Have it that way. Do it like that on purpose, the way Christopher Nolan should have done this Odyssey, even if he does not get any nominations for it. Then you tell all your director friends to kind of do the same. Make films. If it's an all black thing or majority black, maybe there should only be like one white person or an Asian or a Mexican or something like that. Then go ahead and do it. Do it all black. Don't feel as if all Mexican. You keep it accurate. Don't so it makes sense. Okay, tell all your director friends to make their films in the way that it makes sense with the correct races, the correct gender. Do it like that, even if they won't get nominations. Well, here's the thing: those ones would get nominations because it's diverse, because it can be all Mexican or all black, and then it would get nominated. But still, do it anyways. And then if there's a story where it's all white, also supposed to be majority all white, and black or Mexican, Chinese in the background, still do it that way too. And even if it doesn't earn you nominations, and maybe sooner or later, as the years go by, the Oscars will change their thing and make the rules back to normal again, and everything can revert back to normal again. I don't know, maybe, So that way, films now aren't, how can I put it, aren't being nominated for just for diversity. No. People can start making movies not in a way that are more accurate, right? The way either uh, uh, you know historically accurate or just accurate to the source material, versus trying to forcefully make it diverse just to be qualified for an Oscar. And I hope I said that correctly, and I hope I said it in a way that made sense. Okay, so that's it. Oh, I thought it was also kind of important to bring this up. This is an old Facts of Life episode, but this is also one of the things I love about this show is basically the setup is Blair, she's so proud of her grandfather, but she found out that her grandfather was part of the KKK, Ku Klux Klan. So then, because of that, because of her grandfather being a part of that, and this is in the 70s, 80s now. Blair is a good person. There's no more like that. But in other words, what I'm trying to say is she began feeling guilty for the sins of her grandfather, even though Blair had nothing to do with it. So she began trying to make up for that by treating Tootie nicely and just trying to take responsibility for what the grandfather did, the evil actions of him, which is a reason why I think, well, someone told me, a friend of mine said, because of back then, like in the old cartoons in the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, that they make fun of different races. Yeah, they make fun of Chinese, not just the blacks, but the blacks, the Chinese, and Japanese, and all of that. You remember there was an old Bugs Bunny cartoon called Bugs Bunny Nips the Nips. Well, anyways, so Hollywood is now trying to make up for that mistake. you know, in addition to the whole Floyd, I forgot his name now, the Floyd thing in what, like, you know, 2015, 16, 17, somewhere around there, the whole Floyd thing when the police all went crazy and began beating on the black people, beating on him, and then they started going crazy and started beating up on the black people. So because of that, in addition to probably what my friend said, the old cartoons and the old movies, how they were racist back then, Hollywood has gotten scared, and that's why they're trying to make up for it by overdosing. They're going too far. This episode here explains it nicely, far better than I can. Listen.
This is just my grandfather's obituary.
Not the one most newspapers carried.
Judge Blair was a staunch defender of states' rights and an opponent of... Blair!
An opponent of desegregation. It was discovered after his death that he was a longtime financial supporter and member of the Ku Klux Klan.
Gave you that Bigfoot?
It's Blair's.
Not again.
Again. So far, she's given me 5 sweaters, a wool skirt, and I keep finding credit cards under my pillow.
Maybe they're from the Tooth Fairy.
I don't think the Tooth Fairy has this kind of bread.
Well, remember, girls, what Blair needs now is patience and understanding.
I tried to tell Blair that I don't blame her for what her grandfather did.
What'd she say?
That she understood. Then she laid another sweater on me.
Nah, you see? So Hollywood should not blame the old way, you know, how it was a product of its time, and as Whoopi Goldberg said at the introduction to the Looney Tunes, one of the volumes, which I have, by the way, not that new one that I got, the volume 1 through 4, but the previous one, Whoopi Goldberg gave a preface at the beginning and said, she loves Porky, she loves Yosemite Sam, Froghorn, Leghorn, paraphrasing here, and all the Looney Tunes, even though, you know, with the racist stuff and all, she loves it, like as I say, warts and all. So even with all the racist stuff, she still loves it. But wait, is this recorded? Did I unpause it? Yeah. But to erase history like that, the cartoons, is just as bad as, you know, as trying to make it seem like it's never happened at all, because they did happen. So you don't want to erase that, because that would be, to try to erase it is just as bad, is what Whoopi Goldberg was trying to say. So you can still find humor and fun in all of these things. I laugh at all the Asian stuff and in the you know, when Bugs Bunny is, you know, and they do that in the Looney Tunes and the Tom and Jerry's, you know, you have to laugh at yourself. It's all in good fun. Look at Pat Morita, all right? He was a comedian. People think that, oh, Daniel-san, that is the way me, Noriaki, I think that's the name, Noriaki, Pat Morita talk. No, he talks normal, you know, and no Chinese accent, or I should say Japanese accent, I should say, right? And he makes jokes poking fun at himself. That's all that is. So Hollywood needs to take notes from this episode, okay? So I wanted to make that clear. Okay. Megovanen, everyone, and welcome to a sort of my thoughts video and sort of preliminary thoughts, not really review, but you know, of the Odyssey. I know there's a lot of people talking about that film, saying some were saying it was good, but I saw one review where he was really talking it up, and I cannot say I agree. This was one of those reviewers where he's somewhat like a big channel, somewhat, but you know, I'll say like 9K subscribers he has, but like I can tell he's one of those that will build his career on this, you know, his YouTube career on doing these type of reviews where it's like sounding scripted, or kind of trying to sound a bit smarter than what he is. Like it is scripted, and trying to think too much to make it sound intelligent, and like he has a lot of wisdom. And then I don't know how else to put it, but puts it in a review. You know how like IGN or GameStop or GameSpot, Siskel and Ebert, and all those other reviewers, how they sound like. They don't really slip up. They're very professional and know exactly what to say. Well, that's because either they've memorized some kind of script or there's a teleprompter. So he's like one of those, right? But he was really talking up the Odyssey, like really, really, like it's a great thing. I saw it, and I will just say that it's really not bad. It's to be quite honest, I think at absolute worst it is just okay, right? But it's pretty good, pretty entertaining. And I have to say that it helps if you look upon the film, because it is racially diverse. They're Greeks, but there's like blacks, Indians, and Asians, all and they're Greeks. And now I know you can say, well, I know someone is going to say that because he was okay. I'll say I'm not going to bring up anything, and I'm still okay with it, but I'm just saying I still prefer that it's kept in the perfect traditional fashion. But like with Helen of Troy being played by Lupita Nyong'o, I think, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but by her, and she's supposed to be, of course, the absolute most beautiful a woman ever, that caused thousands of ships to to come over there and start a war and all of that with Troy. And he was okay with that, and I guess I'm sort of like, they did it and that's fine, but I mean I prefer that they have kept the original, the way it was, that we all know and love. I can't say original because you said, who's to say that Helen of Troy is not black? She could be black, or she could have been Indian. I don't know that much about these things, so I can't disagree. Maybe he seems like he's more. He is more knowledgeable than I am, but every iteration I've seen and drawing, it's always this white woman and blonde. So, just like in Troy, Diane Kruger, but what do I know? But who's to say that the Greeks were not mixed? But I don't know. There's people that say otherwise. But what I try to do is I look upon the racial diversity like that, even though it either is not accurate to the written material, or historically accurate, or just not what we know from what is written before, that type of thing. I tried to look upon it like, and I brought it up before, Mahabharata. It is an Indian story, super long time since I've seen it, but it spans many parts. At least this version, the original Indian, they're all Indian and black and white and cast of Indian. But this colorized version from it was either the 80s or late 70s, it was a diverse cast, blacks, Chinese, whatever, and then Indians. But it's an Indian story where they were all Indians, but they were playing Indian, but they got, so like play. So you have to look upon it, and it was like almost like a play, because it was a small like studio production kind of thing, you could say. So you have to look upon it that way, and it helps, and hold on here. Okay, I will play something here, what one guy said. I will not play my friend here, so you're not going to know who he is, but this is a conversation that we've been having, and here's what some guy said.
Okay, I'm going to check. Like second to Matt Damon, this character, there is a scene where a black man is translating to, like second to Matt Damon, this character, there is a scene where a black man is translating to some other dude, and this guy, and they're both supposed to be Greeks, and he even says, we're Greeks. So the crew full of Asians, black people, and Indians are the Greeks. It's really hard.
Yeah, so you see, so it is just a little weird, but like I said, it helps. I even brought it here.
To a group full of Asian, blacks, and Indians. Because this guy, this picture, he's not a black guy. He second to Matt Damon. He's Indian. He's second to Matt Damon. He's an Indian guy. They are the Greeks. But again, I try to look upon it as a play, even though technically it's not a play. But you have to. That's where you have to. The viewer has to suspend your disbelief and really utilize your imagination. But yeah. Let me go read this.
Okay, and then he also sent me this really interesting article. Hold on, let me try to find the thing.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely. Sorry, that's just.
Okay, wait, where's my thing that I...
The part earliest part made.
Okay, and here's another reviewer. The other one was called the Badger or something like that. I can't remember. Or the Angry Badger. This is another reviewer I just came across. He is a black dude, and I prefer reviewers like this. I think he's really, really cool. He speaks from the heart, and it's not scripted. He just, these are the kind of reviewers I gravitate more toward. His thoughts on the diversity thing.
Since and there's a lot of controversy about the black woman who played Helen of Troy, or the face of launch 1,000 ships or whatever. That was weird casting. I'm gonna say that right now. It was weird. She's not in the movie a lot, but it's a weird casting. There's a lot of black characters. I thought, and every time I saw a black person on screen, I was like, okay, this is. Okay, it's Hollywood. It's not ancient Greece. It's Hollywood. I just think that if you're going to tell a story about, for example, a bunch of Egyptians, you shouldn't have a white person playing an Egyptian character. That's just weird.
There it is.
So yeah. So like that is what I'm saying. And what he was saying, rather, like if you're gonna play like Egyptian, even though I've not known already that sometimes they cast a white guy playing Egyptian, but basically they have to kind of look the part. If they can pass for it, then okay, But here's the thing that my friend was talking about, and I guess I more or less agree, but there are things in here that I kind of don't absolutely agree. It says here. Since the Odyssey releases this week, I either have to bring it far or like really close to read it. You've probably heard a lot about woke movies. There's been a ton of discourse around the casting, some minor character changes, and the people involved. All of it has been framed by those stoking the discourse as proof that this, once again, a woke movie. This has been a popular, if exhausting, topic for years. The argument has been ridiculous for years, but has managed to stick around and build a following because a lot of these movies... Because a lot of these movies were bad movies. It wasn't because they were woke or did something crazy. It was because they weren't good and they failed to meet expectations. And so we get this whole sentiment, go woke, go broke. That is a quote, right? A lot of people say that. The controversy centers on Lupita Nyong'o's Helen of Troy and Elliot Page playing a Greek soldier, Sinon. Yeah, she was not Achilles. Yeah, she was Sinon. Both have limited screen time, and both are great in their roles. Remember, this is a mythological retelling of historical events in a movie with cyclopses, sea monsters, and witches. There can absolutely be a Helen of Troy. Now, get this here. There can absolutely be a Helen of Troy whose skin is darker than some people might have imagined. Well, it's not her skin is darker. She's a black. She's played by a black woman. Not skin is darker than... Skin is darker than some people might have imagined. No, she's a black person, not skin is darker. So that is a little wrong there. So If they had legitimate criticism, it might be worth engaging with, but they don't. They're parroting the same lines. I've seen people confuse Elliot Page with playing Achilles over and over. Now, here's another thing. He puts, he never played Achilles. Not a he, it is a she. Okay, so I don't entertain that when people do things like that. You are still a she. So I mean, you want to change your name to Elliot Page, okay? But I mean that's you are still a she. I don't understand. It's kind of like in the movie Ted. What did Ted say? There's no such thing as chicks with dicks, only dudes with tits. Okay, so there's no such thing as chicks with dicks, only dudes with tits. Okay, not exactly the same, but kind of like the same basic meaning. I've seen people confuse Elliot Page with playing Achilles over and over. I'm going to change the he to she because he's using he, but I don't entertain that. She never played Achilles. She isn't playing Achilles in this movie, but that rumor stuck a year ago, and people are still repeating it like it's truth to this day. The anti-woke crowd operates on false confidence. Every time a movie bombs, they take credit. Every time a movie succeeds, they go quiet and disappear, exactly like they will with the Odyssey in a few weeks. They can review bomb it all they want, it won't matter. The idea that everything went woke recently says more about media literacy than about Hollywood. Movies have always carried cultural messages and undertones. In the past, they tended to do it with more subtlety, and that subtlety is exactly what made them work. It's also exactly why people who couldn't engage with deeper themes never noticed it was there. These themes have always been there because movies are political. They shape culture and start important conversations. And they have always done this across every era and every genre. The idea that this is some new phenomenon designed to erase white people or American culture is asinine and ignorant. Well, okay, but I mean the only thing I have to say about this, and maybe I'm a little wrong on it, but I've tend to notice with these race changes and the race swapping and stuff, and again I could be wrong, but it's just what I've noticed. It is only going one way. So you will see like white characters, Ariel turned her black, Cinderella turned her black, Helen of Troy turned her black. What other things can I think of? Black Panther turned him kind of like female, but not really. It's a female took over the role, so not quite the same. Things like that. I know there's many others. Namor, although I feel as if Namor should have been played by a Chinese, because when you look at him in the comic books, he looks Asian, but they turned him. That's maybe the only exception, but I'm pretty sure they would have casted him as white. I don't know, but with Namor, they turned him like Mexican, but really I think he should have been played by a Chinese. That is just what I'm saying, even though maybe I'm pretty sure Namor is not meant to be Chinese or Asian. They probably would have found a white man that kind of had like maybe smaller eyes and can be a Namor, like a dark-haired white man. But of course, they casted, they turned him like Aztecian or Mexican. But I haven't seen like maybe a black character or Asian character and then they change them white. It seems, but it's more okay to turn the white into a different race, a different, Mexican or black or something like that. But not so much really the other way around. That's what I did notice. So this is a little bit wrong when he said, what I see it, the idea that this is some new phenomenon designed to erase white people or American culture is asinine and ignorant. Not really erase, but just sort of, just why they have to do it? Why they do it? They didn't have to do that. I can tell you with total confidence that now this is another thing I disagree completely, but I can tell you with total confidence that the live action Snow White is bad, and it's not because it's woke. I can tell you at the same time that Odyssey is great. It wasn't great. And Barbie is great. Barbie's okay. It's good. Not because they're woke, but because they're good movies. That's the difference between good and bad. And I can tell the two apart because I'm capable of thinking outside an echo chamber. Well, Snow White was actually, to me, it's just as good as the other typical Disney stuff that is actually very good that they put out. If you like things like The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, I know they're animated. If you liked, the Moana, the original one, I can't say about the remake. If you like The Princess and the Frog, right? The Black Cauldron, even though that has like a cult following. To me, it's no better or no worse. The new Snow White, not really new anymore, but the Rachel Zegler Snow White, to me, and to be quite honest, a lot of people, you go look at the reviews, you check Amazon, and they'll say they don't get the big deal. They were against it at first because of all the hate they heard, and this is on like Amazon reviews, but they actually saw it and purchased it, and it was just as good as anything, and that's exactly how I felt. So that's the thing. They're confusing their hate towards the actress and maybe the dumb thing she said, and they're making that equal to the movie because they hate the actress, and let's say the actress who played Snow White or whatever, or this character sucked, so the movie sucks as well. But that's, it's like, what if Mel Gibson and Danny Glover said something stupid, so now suddenly Lethal Weapon sucks? That it doesn't make sense. Lethal Weapon's a really good movie. So that kind of thing. So I think Snow White is just as good, no better or worse, and I really enjoyed that one. And the Odyssey, I will just say that I thought it was pretty good. If you look upon it like, like what I said, like a play. Supergirl also, I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. The things I did not like, though, and they both have something in common, is that they were showcasing the flashbacks throughout the course of the film, and I would rather they just kind of get it out of the way, like with Supergirl, get it out of the way and then tell the story, then so you don't have to get interrupted, and it just continues with it. But it was a pretty fun one. Okay, and I'm put aside, and to me it's not really an issue, but put aside, that she looks like a daughter of Ron Perlman. Okay, Millie Alcock. They keep showing this picture of a caveman or something, in place of Millie Alcock's face. I see the exaggerated resemblance. You can see it. You're lying if you don't see it. You obviously you can see it, but you don't have to. It is like a caricature. Caricature, I think I'm pronouncing that right. If you were to make a grossly exaggerated caricature of Millie Alcock, it would look like that caveman creature from that Lost World show, I think is what they called it. But like I said, she's just like a daughter of Ron Perlman, but she's not really a daughter of his, that kind of thing. Okay, so and the thing is with Ellen Page, did I read in there that she said that Ellen Page acted very, very well in that Odyssey? I didn't think she acted that well in there. To me, it was kind of like bad acting. She's typically a pretty good actress. I liked her in, like I said, Juno, and even in Umbrella Academy, even though it was like a weird way they introduced her change, somewhat just kind of, just to do it, but because they had to do it. But she acted fine in that, even as her new persona, and because of her her new identity, right? But in here, it seemed a little bit cheap, and something was a bit off to me when I watched it, and you might notice it as well. Kind of like the acting chops were not up to snuff to everybody else for this particular role in this film. But to me, the Odyssey overall was, I would say, at absolute worst, it is just merely okay, but at absolute best, it is good. Not very good. Not very good. It isn't very good at all. It is not a great film. It's not a very good film. It's just good, that kind of thing. And I thought it was super, super long. Like, it didn't have to be that long. And I started to get a little bit bored, but it started getting really cool, at the end with the whole stringing of the bow. You guys know the story. And then the execution of all the suitors, quite cool. I was cracking up at that. It was very funny. And when people were getting eaten by the Cyclops, like the first guy, and then pieces are falling off, I was cracking up there. Very funny, hilarious stuff. But yeah, so it's really cool, and seeing those creatures. Cersei, was that her name? Cersei. I keep thinking Cersei like Cersei Lannister, but no. I thought her name is also Cersei, right? Or is that now even her name? I'm getting confused. Turning the people into pigs, turning the soldiers into the pigs, right? Played by, was it Emily Mortimer or Samantha Mortimer or something, or Morden or Mortimer? I don't know. But she was in The Walking Dead, right? But yeah, so not really a review. I will watch it again, probably when I buy it, because I will buy it, and I will buy Supergirl, right? Like I said, and with the Superman 2025, my main gripe is I don't like the guy playing Superman. I didn't like his personality, his attitude, and I thought they did a pretty piss poor job of trying to capture that silver age of the comics and silver age kind of feel. I thought Fantastic Four, the first steps, captured that much better. It even looked like it, and it really helped that they could really take liberties, because it took place in this alternate universe, a different kind of Earth, right? Multiverse type thing. So that's where they can get away with changing history. They didn't mean that for this Superman, but the other one, obvious that it was the Fantastic Four. So anyways, yeah, that's it. And I guess I'm sort of curious if you want to, leave a comment about it. I don't get a lot of comments, but if you feel like you want to put your input on here and tell me what you guys think of, like, race swapping characters and things like that, changing characters from male to female, vice versa, that kind of thing, and just the race swapping kind of thing. What you guys think of it? Are you okay with it? Or if you have a problem with it, or so long as it makes sense? Because I also feel like some changes are like they're just doing it just to do it, just because they could, or because it's always been a white guy, or always been a female or a white guy or something, so they just wanted to change it just for the sake of changing it, kind of like with violence, right? The violence is there, and the gore just for the sake of being gory, that kind of thing. So how you guys feel about it? Okay, if you want, you can chime in. All right, so that's it.